everyone, it's Finnovation. In this video, we're going to make an underwater resin terrarium.
The obvious question is, how are you going to do that?
Well, with resin. If you know what resin is, you know it's really cool. And if you don't, stick around to find out. Let's get right into it. Alright, so here are the materials that you're going to need. Now note, before that I start, these are the materials that I'm going to be using. If you're trying to do this at home, you can use pretty much any materials that you'd like. So first off, we're going to be doing like an ocean diorama. So we've got a resin, so we've got some epoxy resin, some fake moss. We stopped at the beach to get some stones, driftwood, sand, stuff like that. A few little like oceany toys that we might stick in there, and we thought that'd be kind of cool. A little bit of driftwood, and some matte medium, which is basically just like high quality Mod Podge. You could always just use Mod Podge for this. Now let's get right into the tutorial. Alright, so if you got a setup kind of like mine, I've got some sand and some little rocks. So the first thing that I want to do is I know I want a treasure chest and a driftwood arch. But before I get my main piece like these, I'm going to have to figure out the bottom. So I've got my sand, and I think I'm going to do a layer of sand and then add some little rocks on top. Now to make sure that my sand doesn't go floating up, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a little bit of Mod Podge or matte medium, and I'm going to put that on the bottom, then stick the sand to it so that my sand doesn't float up in the resin, because the last thing I want is my ocean to look like it's got like dusty water with sand in it. So that's what I'm going to do right now. Alright, so my sand has just hardened from that Mod Podge layer, and I've still got my stuff on top here, and now what I'm going to do is glue them on, and I think I really like this little archway design where I've got like a little arch over the chest, and I think that looks pretty cool. So I'm just going to hot glue this on, and now we'll be doing a resin pour. Alright, so now we're going to be pouring our resin. The resin I have is called Easy Cast Pour Resin. Here's the bottle if you want to see that. But anyway, it requires that I put equal parts of the resin and the hardener. So I'm going to mix them in the bowls. So I'm going to do that right now. So I'm going to pour some of the actual resin. I want a good amount, but not too much, because I'm going to be doing a few pours, because I have heard resin heats up and it will
Expand.
And the resin will expand, and we don't want our glass to break. So if you're doing this kind of like I am, and you've got like a glass container, then I'm going to do a few pours to make sure that I don't have my glass break, because that would be not good. Alright, so we're going to do a resin pour, and if Dad, you actually want to come in, take a look at this, because I think it is kind of satisfying. Alright. So 3, 2, 1, and I'm going to try and kind of pour on the corners, and hopefully it just kind of fills in. Alright, I'll do a little there, and I'll do a little on the other side. It's all going to go under eventually, but I kind of want the whole bottom layer done first. And there we go. That is our first layer of resin. Alright, so what I found is with the resin, right after you pour it, it looks really foggy, but as you keep mixing it, it gets more and more clear. So as you can see here, it's starting to look pretty good, and I think that's nice. So I'm going to give it a few more taps like I did last time, and just pour it in. 3, 2, 1. Whoa, that's satisfying. That's pretty awesome. Alright, so now we've got, actually, believe it or not, about half of our resin done, and it's looking pretty good. So I'm pretty happy with this, how it's going so far, and I really like it. Alright, so now that this is hardened, I'm going to do my next resin pour. So right here I've just got the rest of my resin in these bottles, and I already measured this with water to see how much it would be filled up, and it was pretty much exactly how much we needed. So if I measured right, then it should be filled all the way to the top. Alright, now that we've got our resin all mixed up, I'm going to pour it in. Ooh, that's satisfying.
Second batch, Finn. Did you cover the
tip? It does not look like it. Maybe the little bit more that I get will put it up just a little bit higher. Hopefully. Alright, there's still a lot in there, so I'm going to try and get it out. Alright, so my math was about correct, and it did fill up pretty much as we could without going over that lip. So now I'm just gonna do, what I'm gonna do is just clean this up because it is sticky and we don't want it on the glass. So all I'm doing is being really careful and just trying to get it off the glass.
Finn, how are you going to get rid of the bubbles?
We're going to try and tap it like this and maybe give it a little bit of heat. So hopefully that'll get as many bubbles out of there as we can, because those little bubbles look more like fog than an actual like big old bubble. Well, that sums up this video. I really liked the terrarium. It really looked like it was underwater.
Underwater, Finn. That reminds me of a joke.
Oh boy.
Did you hear about the student who failed all of his classes while he was underwater?
No, I didn't.
All of his grades were below sea level.
That was terrible. Whatever, if you enjoyed this video or that joke, leave a like and subscribe down below. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!